Hustle TV.
Period.
So listen, our topic today is going to be extremely interesting, and it's probably going to offend some people, and some people are going to agree with us. All right, so the topic today is stop having kids if you cannot properly care for them. All right.
Very interesting topic. Very necessary topic,
Right.
I think.
So today we're going to discuss the impacts when people have kids and they can't afford to take care of them. The impacts on taxpayers, social services, next of kin, grandmothers, sisters, brothers, whoever. And last but not least, the impacts that have on the children. All right, so before we get started, we're going to start the show out with a question. All right. So how many of you know someone who has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kids? They receive public assistance. They're constantly struggling, constantly begging and borrowing. They don't really take care of their kids. They don't even provide guidance, discipline. Sometimes they're mean to their kids, physically, emotionally, like all types of shit. How many of y'all know somebody like that, though? You know somebody like that?
No. I don't know anybody with all them kids. No, I honestly can't say that.
Okay.
But
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you see people, people on TV, celebrities, whatever. That's different because, of course, they can probably take care of them. But
right.
As far as in real life, I don't think I know anybody with 9 kids.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story.
Oh, shit.
As a matter of fact, it was a family that I met. They had like 10 kids, right?
Yeah.
And they got like 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, some crazy number like that of food stamps a month, like $1,100, $1,200 in food stamps every month because they had that amount of kids, right? And I'm just like, okay, if you're on public assistance and you have that many kids, when you have 1 or 2 and you see you can't take care of them, like, why continue to have more kids that you're not, really able to care for?
Right. At some point, you would think that it'd be like, okay, we kind of struggling with these.
Right.
But I guess there are people that they say, hey, if we get pregnant, we having it, which I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about that later.
Right.
But yeah, I feel you.
I guess to me, it just doesn't make sense because when you can't care for a kid financially, you taken away from everything that child could possibly have to have a successful life and a successful future.
Right.
All right. And we're going to get into that. But we're going to talk, okay, like I said, we're going to talk about the impacts that it has on everybody except for the person who's having a kid.
Because they always seem to get the easy way out, right?
All right.
Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say the easy way, but they do, tend to get a lot of assistance.
Right.
I guess.
All right. So let's talk about who's footing the bill for all these social programs, food stamps, just whatever. A lot of times kids end up having some type of DSS involvement, foster care, all that shit. All right, so taxpayers. All right, we all know the most heavily taxed bracket of human beings is what? The middle class. All right, so you got the middle class out here already struggling, working, getting most of their, their income taxed. 33 to 40, 45% sometimes.
Right.
All right. So that's who ends up footing the bill when you are having all these kids and you can't afford to take care of them. If you have 1 child and you struggling, you got 2 kids and you struggling. All right, cool. But after that, come on now, because every time you have a child, the amount of food stamps and social assistance you get is going to increase.
It's going to go up, yeah.
And it's going to increase the taxes for the middle class. We all know people who are super wealthy don't pay that much in taxes.
Yep.
The lower class doesn't pay any taxes because they are the recipients of the services.
Exactly. And
all right.
People got to remember, man, people sleep on the middle class, but the middle class is working people that still probably don't get paid what they should for the work that they do. And then so happen to pay out on top of that extra. Like, yeah, I feel you.
They get the short end of the stick. I've heard a lot of middle class people say they'd rather be on welfare because they get all the benefits. Right. You get housing at reduced cost or free. You get your food taken care of.
Yep.
I mean, it stops about right there. You're not going to have that good a quality of life, but you got some free shit.
Right. There's certain shit, like everyday essential shit that you need, you're going to have. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which is, a roof over your head and, like you said, food.
Right.
Those are the essential things. As long as you got that, I mean,
right.
The rest is kind of easy.
Right.
Because if I didn't have to pay mortgage, you feel me? Like,
right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But all right, let's talk about the impact it has on social services or DSS or child protective services, whichever state you live in. They may call it different things. But foster care is expensive. And again, we talking about placing that burden on the taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize how much money the taxpayers have to pay just to house a child with a foster parent?
Yeah.
I'm gonna share something with y'all. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say that there are a lot of people doing that now. A lot of people that are doing foster care, and some of them shouldn't be, but they're doing it for the money.
Right.
You feel me?
Because it's there.
Yeah.
It's gonna get paid, and it's gonna be, like I said, at the expense of the middle class.
Yep.
I used to do something called family group conferencing, and it was in DSS, but we weren't removing kids from the home. What we were actually trying to do was get kids placed back in the home. I'm gonna tell you how the economics go. All right, so for each child, we had to have something called a family group conference, and basically what that was, you reaching out to family members, anybody who would take that child to prevent them having to go into foster care.
Right.
Because the program realized that it's cheaper to try to get a child placed with immediate family member as opposed to sending them into foster care. We would get paid, well, the agency would get paid $1,000 per successful family group conference, placing a kid back into the home with, grandmother and whoever.
Yeah.
All right, so people will say, oh, that's a lot of money. It's not a lot of money compared to how much money is going to be paid out if they go into foster care.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that when you put a child in foster care, it's rarely a few days, a few weeks. It ends up turning into a long-term situation, a long-term, short-term situation that ends up being way more money than if you can just place the child somewhere else. All right.
Right.
So this is another one of those things that, like I said, the middle class ends up paying for, and it's not fair.
It really ain't. I feel you on that.
It's not fair. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of kids who are born into poverty-stricken lives have some type of DSS involvement at some point in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something else to think about. This is why Republicans hate social programs. And growing up, I was like, well, damn, why they don't want to help? Why they don't want to help? And the older I get, and the more where I see where my tax money is going, hell, I don't want to be paying for that shit either. Like, I didn't have the kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not saying that kids don't need somebody if they're displaced in their own homes, but at some point, the people having these kids has to become accountable.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not fair. It's not fair to anybody. It's only fair to them.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. They have to be held accountable. But it's like, how do you hold them accountable? When you have all of these.
When you talk about China, and they, like, certain Asian communities, they can only have 2 kids.
Right.
So, if people look at that and say, oh my God, that's harsh. But I think it makes sense. I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to have more than 1 kid, but if you're not taking care of the first couple of kids that you got, why should you keep having them?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Y'all, we're not saying stop having kids.
Right.
If you could take care of your kids, fine. But if you can't take care of them, then that means that they're lacking something. And yeah, you gotta stop. If the last 3 of them are lacking, or you can't really properly care for them, I don't understand. I wouldn't keep having more.
Right. And a lot of people say, well, my kids, I feed my kids and I bathe them. All right, check this out.
That's minimal. I mean, that's
right. Having a child, it's more than making sure they can eat, making sure they're properly bathed.
Mm-hmm.
What about when it's time for that child to play a sport and they can't because I ain't got no money for no cleats, I ain't got no money for no shoes, I don't have no money for no band instrument, I don't have the money for this, I don't have, that's a part of their development. That's a part of them learning socialization skills. It's a part of them developing who they'll become as an adult. But when you take all that stuff away and give a child nothing, they end up a statistic out here just doing whatever.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've, I'm pretty sure you've seen it. You seen the water boys in Atlanta?
No.
How they stand out at that exit selling water.
Yeah.
So I was watching a video the other day, and these 2 little boys walked up to, it was a rapper. Was it Moneybag? Whose truck did they walk up to? I'm not sure, but the little boy was asking for $100. He was asking for some money because he wanted to get his shoes, right?
Right.
And so the little boy beside him was like, you know, I want some money too. And he was like, chill, bro, man, you already got your shoes. I'm trying to get my shoes.
Right.
And so the dude kept talking, and they was actually about to fight. But that's what you dealing with, like when you can't afford to do the things, because kids need shoes. I'm not saying they need the most expensive shoes,
right,
but they need some good shoes on their feet without holes, some shoes that they can, you know, they're comfortable in, whatever.
Right.
But when they don't get it, that's what they do. You know, they begging. They out here begging people for it, and they even fighting their friends.
Right. And not only are they doing that, like that's a learned behavior. They watching their parents beg and borrow.
Right.
And, you know
that's
what
where it comes from. Yeah.
Then
they think that it's okay.
Yeah, and then a lot of times, parents that might have, and you know, I'm not just gonna say it's a lot of single moms that's really the ones bearing the brunt of all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Fathers are there sometimes, you know, but come on now.
It's always gonna be mama.
Right, it's always gonna be mama.
Yeah.
Sometimes a parent may have a drug abuse issue or an alcohol issue or whatever, and they take the food stamps and they sell them to get whatever it is they need. The kids still don't have anything to eat.
Right, you taking food out of the kids' mouth at that point.
Right.
Free food, shit.
Yeah, and it makes no sense. So let's talk about the impact it has on family members, and we talking about any family member who might end up caring for that kid. But I want to talk about the grandmothers.
Oh, man.
Right? How many of y'all know somebody who is a grandmother? They're well into their age where they should be chilling, enjoying their retirement. They're having to raise these kids. No elderly person should have to raise a teenager. No,
absolutely not.
And that's what's happening a lot of times because you love your grandkids, and of course you don't want to see them go into the system. But is that something... Like, if you were a grandmother, would you really want to be re-raising some kids after you done raised your kids?
You know, I'm telling you, the trend lately is there are a lot of great-grandmothers that actually have the kids.
Because that age gap is getting so small.
Yeah,
grandmas,
it is.
Like, grandmas in their 30s now. Like,
right.
It don't even make no sense.
And to piggyback on that, you know, they shouldn't be raising teenagers. I'm always watching some shit. I'm always looking for some shit, some content, whatever.
Right.
But I saw a video the other day again, and there was some kids, teenagers, and they were actually assaulting the grandmother. She was trying to get them to, I forget what she was asking them to do. We might have to play that clip. We might come back and do a little segment and play that clip. But the little boy kicked her. I think he kicked her in the stomach. She fell, and he kept hitting her. And I'm like, that's your grandmother.
Right.
First of all, who is teaching these kids that it's okay to assault anybody?
That's going back to these kids being brought into this world with no guidance, no morals, they just out here, kids just out here
acting
with nobody.
Like adults.
Right.
They're acting like adults, and your grandma, you gonna whoop your grandma.
Right. When you're not taught anything, you don't care.
Yeah.
These kids don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And it's sad because they should never have to be put in those, like, you look at a kid and be like, damn, that kid is evil. Like, what the hell? But if you think about it, like, it's how they were raised.
Mm-hmm. Something had to happen, yeah. Because nobody's just born evil, I don't think. No. You know, that's something they're seeing. They're either going through something is happening to them, crying out for help, or it's just what they see on a daily basis. So,
but last but not least, like, we talked a little bit about the impact that it has on the children. But imagine being a child and you aren't getting love from anywhere. You feel like your mother and father probably hate you because they don't.
Only time they talk to you is to discipline you or tell you what not to do. Yeah. Right.
You're not being really properly nourished. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, a lot of times the food stamps being sold for whatever. And a lot of times in these situations, the kids are exposed to sex, drugs, molestation.
Very true.
Like all types of shit. And half the time people don't even know what's going on because they're not paying attention to their kids because they shouldn't have been having that many kids in the first fucking place. And I hate to say it like that, but it makes me mad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It really makes me mad. And you talk about emotional abuse. Like, I don't know if you have, but I know y'all know somebody who they're always, get your little badass away from me. Dummy. Like, just degrading their kids like it's okay. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
not funny, but the way you said that.
But that's how they are.
Yeah.
That's how they are. Like they treat their kids like shit. Like they didn't birth them.
Get your little badass away
Like
from me.
never telling them they love them.
Right.
Never hugging them.
Yeah, the only time they talk to them is to fuss at them.
Right. It's just like you had these kids and you just, you know what I'm saying? You act like you didn't have them. Like
right.
you just whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. And I mean, I'm talking about you having multiple kids and all of them just bad as fuck because you didn't do anything with them. You didn't nurture them. You didn't guide them. You didn't help try to develop, you know what I'm saying, their minds. They couldn't do no sports. It's just.
Yeah. You know what? I lied earlier. You just reminded
like
me. No. I don't know him personally, but during a job that I used to do, you feel me?
Yeah.
I came into contact with this family, and what you said just reminded me of that because, I mean, the mama was yelling, the damn kids in the house, they was standing in the doorway yelling, they cussing each other out, fighting, like the whole house is fighting.
Right.
And I'm just like, whoa. And she's like, oh, I can't keep my eye on all of them at one time. Well, I bet you can't. Hell, it's about 10 of them running around.
Right.
Here.
So when you had 3, you couldn't control the 3. What made you think it was okay to just keep having them?
Yeah.
Like, damn, what did you expect? Like, oh, I'm gonna get some more food stamps if I keep having the kids. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think like that.
So you think that people actually have kids for those benefits?
I don't think so, but I think once they do, they ease into the comfort of being able to having shit given to them, and then it gets so comfortable. And it's like, whatever. I don't have to be on birth control. I don't have to
Yeah.
Shout out to the women who had 1 or 2 kids and was like, damn, this shit is hard, and I want to be able to take care of my kids. I'm getting birth control, or I'm getting my tubes tied, or something. Like, shout out to y'all because.
Yeah, I feel you. And also shout out to the women that do have 4 or 5 kids and they handling their business. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They taking care of their kids. Nobody wants for anything. Got to give a shout out to them.
Yeah, because you got those mothers out there too. I know, you know what I'm saying, people that have multiple kids, but all of them taken care of. All of them eat good. They, you know what I'm saying, have nice clothes. They're able to they're able to participate in sports, music.
They're articulate.
Yeah. Right.
So you definitely have those situations out there with people, but we ain't talking about y'all. We're talking about the
we'll applaud y'all.
Yeah. Have all of these kids and can't take care of them. They end up in the system. They end up separated. To me, that's one of the biggest things. Like, can you imagine coming up and being separated from your brothers and sisters? Like, no. So when these parents can't take care of these kids, all type of shit happen. Like you said, DSS is usually in the mix somewhere along the way, and eventually, if they get taken, they don't always go together.
No,
and that's, I mean, they're going through the shit together. They're siblings. They should not be separated from each other.
Right.
But unfortunately, sometimes the families that take one can't take all of them. So
imagine being a child and you wondering why you always being pawned off somewhere, whether it's your grandmother or your aunt's house, and then it gets so bad, it's like, damn, we're going to foster care, and then it gets to a point where it's like, damn, they talking about adopting us,
right?
And that's what happens.
Yeah,
that's what happens. Like, imagine being a kid and feel like nobody wants you, especially your parents. You getting tossed around to place to place to place because your parents was too selfish to be like, you know what, we don't need any more kids.
Right. Yeah. You also you got those people that believe, if we get pregnant, you're going to have it. We're going to have as many kids as we want to, because, if we can take care of them.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you can't take care of them, no, you don't have that right to just keep having them.
But then,
even though you do have it, by law, you do have the right to have as many kids as you want, but it don't make no sense.
But then sometimes they can't take care of them. Even the people that are doing well, like, look at this. Think about John and Kate plus 8. Now, they were in a good situation because they had a TV show. They had hella people sponsoring them, sending them free shit. But after the show, I think a whole bunch of shit happened. Like, the family ended up in disarray because they used social media to come up with having all of those kids, and then it backfired because it ended up being a negative thing for them.
Right.
Like, I think they ended up getting a divorce and a whole bunch of other shit happened.
A lot of stuff.
So, yeah, man, it's, I don't know.
But yeah, if you can't take care of a child and make sure it has everything that it needs as a whole, I'm talking about everything, being able to play sports, being able to participate in music or arts or whatever it is. Like, you should never tell a child, no, you ain't gonna be able to play basketball or whatever because I ain't got the money. Especially, now listen, it's situations where women, men, whoever, go to work every day and do everything they can to try to make ends meet and just might not have the money to buy those things. But I'm talking about the people who got multiple kids and you knew you couldn't take care of the first couple that you had. Like, come on now.
Fuck it, we're gonna keep having.
Yeah. So, you know, at the end of the day, kids are expensive. So if you can't afford to properly care for your kids, after the first 2 or 3, stop fucking having kids.
Period. I mean, can't say it no clearer than
There's
that right
no
there.
reason why a child should have to grow up in your shit. You depressed, you mad, you treat the kid like shit because you wallowing in your own stuff. Like, that ain't fair.
Yeah.
It ain't fair. It happens way too much. Like, you see a child being brung up in their parents' madness.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know what y'all think.
Yeah,
I know
man.
this is a harsh topic.
It could be touchy, but I mean, it's like we said, it's necessary.
Right. It'll touch the people like a hit dog gonna holler. If you sitting out there and you know what I'm saying, you're not properly caring for your kids, you're not loving on your kids, you're not making sure they have everything they need and making sure you can do everything you can to make sure their world is whole and give them the tools to be productive.
Right.
You shouldn't be having any more kids.
That's true. I mean, I agree. But yeah, man, y'all let us know what y'all think. Please feel free to hop in the comments. We don't care if y'all agree, disagree.
Right.
Say whatever you want to say, because, you know, it is what it is. That's what the open forum is for, man. Y'all let us know what y'all think. Conversation rules the nation, as always.
Yep. And until next time, we appreciate y'all for tuning in.